10 or 5.
Hey everybody, we are Outdoor Cameraman Experience and it's episode 5 today. We have a special guest from Heartland Bowhunter, the co-hosts Shawn and Mike on, and we're going to talk to them today about the development of their show, how they run their daily lives, being a new married, having kids, and trying to plan this show out. And we will bring them on in a few minutes. But first, should we catch up about anything, Jake?
It's been a hectic morning for me. I've had 2 kids. I've been responsible for 2 kids this morning. We were outside riding bikes at 6 o'clock this morning until we came on, so it's been a little stressful for me.
You'll be riding a bike for quite some time, huh? You're like truckless now.
Yeah, both of my children, Aspen is 6, Walker's 4. They're 2 years apart, but the day before yesterday, I taught both of them. We went over riding bikes without training wheels, and I taught both of them how to ride bikes at the same exact time, and they started literally going down the street riding on their own at the same time. It was a good day for it to be a dad.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
At me, she learned to ride her bike pretty quickly, and now my husband Mark wants to get her into BMX, so now I have to start riding a bike again.
BMX, like on a dirt BMX track?
Yeah. Which is a step down from the dirt bike, so I'm a little bit happy that she's not going to be breaking her neck, hopefully.
Well, that's like the gateway into motocross, right?
Yeah. we know it too well.
We won't get there.
All right. So if you guys are avid outdoor television watchers, then you have probably heard of Heartland Bowhunter, and if you haven't, you've been living under a rock. When they debuted on the scene, they pretty much completely changed the way outdoor television was filmed and produced. Cinematography is a big part of their show, and just the ambiance and the art and the beauty of the hunting show completely changed once these guys broke on the scene. I remember watching it for the first time with just like my eyeballs glued to the screen. I was just in a trance. It was amazing. Jake, you mentioned the first time you heard it, you were like, who the hell are these guys?
Oh, people were texting me when their first episode debuted. People were texting me like, have you seen this new show called The Heartland Bowhunter? I'm like, I'd already been in the industry for a few years, and I went over and watched the first episode, and I was like, holy moly. They completely revolutionized, like you said, how outdoor television, particularly deer hunting, was filmed and produced, and they took the outdoor world by. I mean, they literally wedged themselves in and just blew up instantly. So we're really excited about this show.
So without further ado, let's say hi to Shawn Luchtel and Mike Hunsucker from Heartland Bowhunter.
Hey, what's up?
Hey guys,
Hello.
Good morning.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course.
There's a lot of people that are excited about this. You guys are like the Heartland Bowhunters. Oh my God.
So you guys are coming to us from Kansas today, right? Or Missouri?
Yeah.
Missouri. Kansas City, Missouri.
Other side.
And you guys live like 2 miles apart, so you're literally right down the road from each other.
Yep. Yeah, we're pretty close. We've lived in the same town and area all of our lives pretty much, yeah.
So did you guys grow up together?
Yep. Yeah, we went to we went to junior high school together first. So we went to elementary schools, but yeah, I went to junior high school, college, and the whole shebang.
Did you guys hunt together as kids?
Not till high school. That's when we kind of started hunting together a little bit. Mike played football and was pretty tied up with that most of the fall until November came around, and then he'd start hitting the woods a little harder.
Yeah, I remember talking to Shawn, like, I get out of football on like Friday night and look at my phone and get texts from him like out hunting and killing bucks, and I was so jealous because I never got to hardly hunt at all like during the fall until after the season. So.
Oh.
But you guys had all the relationship kinks worked out before you became business partners, though, eh?
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've been roommates. We lived together. We were roommates at college and all before all that. So, yep.
Well, that's very interesting, actually, because, I mean, I don't know how we're going to talk about how, you guys got started. Were you filming each other in the woods before you started thinking about, doing a TV show?
Yeah, we just started filming kind of for fun in high school. Really, just I had bought a camera actually, like in junior high. I bought like a just a video camera and used to film just whatever random stuff. And Shawn and I started like, oh, let's just start filming some hunts for fun, just to share with our friends and families. That's how we got started into the filming side of things. And as you guys know, it's pretty addicting, and it's really rewarding. You know, when you do get those successful hunts on camera. So things just kind of took off from there. Kind of the passion kind of blew up right there when we got our first hunt together on film.
Where did that happen? Where was your first hunt? What happened? Tell us that story.
Our very first like successful,
yeah.
Like one of the first ones that I can think of that was like successful, like produced hunt. Like we filmed everything, and not just like an accident that kind of fell together. Was on a hunt that I was filming Shawn back behind his house, and his dad owns some property, had about 80 acres back there. We were hunting back there and had a decoy out, and had this buck come in and just posture right up to the decoy and come in and plow it, knock it over, and he
didn't hit it.
Oh, he didn't hit it. No, he didn't hit it.
Oh, he missed. Oh, he missed. He's like swing and a miss.
He was about to hit it, and then Shawn shot him and made a perfect shot. And he like did a big circle around, like came back into the decoy, and then just toppled over. And I remember it was like literally perfect because it just like he came in slow, and I was filming like panned out right over his shoulder as he drew back and zoomed in, and like everything was like, you know, we nailed everything.
Script, yeah.
All right, you know? And it was a huge rush. It wasn't the biggest deer. We both killed bigger deer, but it was like one of those deals where it was like so cool to experience it all.
Yeah, that was one of the. It was like a little tiny basket rack 8 actually. He wasn't very big at all, but it didn't matter.
Who cared? Yeah, that must have been a really lifting experience. Like this confidence builder. Like, oh my God, this turned out great. The deer read the script. You guys pulled it off. You got everything on camera. Did you do anything with that footage?
Yeah, that aired on the first year, right?
It did. Oh, okay. So that was, you guys were filming that for the show, or you took the film knowing it was your first successful deal, and then you aired it as this is how we got started?
Yeah, I think at the time, we didn't know what we were doing really. We didn't know we were going to have a TV show. You know, we were just kind of filming, like I said, for fun. And how we really got started in the industry is Shawn's dad owns a machine shop, and we were manufacturing tree arms. And so we had this tree arm that we were going to, promote and be filming hunts to promote that tree arm. We didn't know exactly what was going to happen or how we were going to do it. And so that's basically what we were doing, is just trying to get the best footage we could with the tree arm and do that. So that was kind of where we were at that moment. We didn't know that we were going to have a show, or that we, intended to have one at that time.
Prior to any of that, though, we had when we first actually started filming hunts just for fun, like no reason at all, just to film it. We had this little gorilla tree arm, and it was, I don't even know, what'd you pay for that thing, Mike? Mike had it, and I didn't even know what a tree arm was. I was like, what is this thing?
Cheap.
It was tiny, and like you'd move the camera and it'd be like, you could hear it.
You might as well have been hand holding your camera.
Yeah. I mean, it added some stability, but it had a nasty ratchet sound to it whenever you move the camera and stuff. So that was our first arm and our first experiences filming a hunt. But I remember there was some cool hunts with that thing that we filmed. I remember the one that Mike killed a buck, and he had this little scent wafer on the back of his head. He's looking around, and nobody. I'm just gonna go out and say this. Nobody ever really knew this, but like, because we edited it out, but like the sound blurps out after he shoots this buck. He turns around. He's like, "F yeah!"
Words out of my mouth. I was like, "Whoops."
You had to, man. I mean, that's how you feel when it happens, right?
Yeah. We were young too. I mean, we were what, 17, 18?
Nah, we were a little older than that. I think we were like 19, 20 right in there. But do
you guys find yourself, is it now, like, obviously every time you're filming, you're pretty much filming for your show. Do you find yourselves like kind of hesitating a little bit and thinking about what you say? Or you guys still kind of like just blur out whatever happens and that edits out in post?
Oh yeah, we definitely have cleaned up our act. I mean, back then we were just teenagers, or early 20s, just jacking around and saying whatever we wanted to say. And I mean, now it's definitely cleaned up a lot.
I think one of the most powerful assets that you guys brought to the outdoor industry was, and I remember people talking about this, and you're always the last one to hear it, maybe not, but I remember my friend saying, man, I love that show, the Heartland Bowhunter, because it's so real. It's like you brought the general bow hunter, the everyday bow hunter back into the scene, and they could relate to what you guys were doing. Is that something you talked about? That's the direction you wanted to go with it, or is that just how it came out? Because that was your power stroke.
Yeah, I think that was definitely intention. The industry at the time when we were getting involved, I remember just like we had no involvement in the industry prior, so we're coming into the scene fresh, kind of like. Obviously we had followed, some of the hunting, DVDs and videos and TV shows. But I mean, a lot of the stuff out there was just so dramatic and so macho and so, egocentric. And it was just kind of like, man, like this isn't what hunting's about. This isn't what, why we do what we do. And I think so a lot of that was intended on, when we came out with the show, it was just, we wanted to create something that was people that could relate to, and something that was real and wasn't forced and wasn't fake. And you get into the whole sponsorship side of things, it's a whole different conversation. But like, it's not earplugs in your face. Like I couldn't have killed this deer without my Bowtech bow, or shoving products down your throat. It was more about the experience and the hunt and the whole evolution of everything, rather than just about any one person or any one animal or any one thing.
One of my favorite things about your show from the beginning, and especially the intros before each season, was just how you guys really focused and showcased like the B-roll stuff. Like not only were you getting all of the real hunting, but the way you like captured nature and the weather, and just coupled that with the music. You guys really pulled off this you beautified the hunting show. It was just more of a romantic experience kind of watching it. And that I connected to, because I just, when I'm out there in the woods and I would see little things fly by, or the light catch a leaf a certain way, just to be able to see you guys appreciate that as well. I was like, yeah, these guys, they're hunting and they're experiencing it the way that I'm experiencing it. And that was really what kind of hooked me into your show, was just seeing how you guys brought the artistry into the way you videoed.
Yeah, I think it was only a matter of time. If we hadn't come onto the scene then, I'm sure someone else would have done that shortly after.
The industry was totally lacking it. I mean, like you said, everything was
the
very
technology. And the technology was just camcorder video functions were just starting to come into the DSLR world. And so you guys basically brought photography, or the romance, like Jess said, of photography into your show, using sliders and DSLRs and depth of field, soft depth of field, and all those things. And it was a really attractive deal. Were you guys photographers? I mean, what got you into the DS? How did you see that and want to implement that into your show?
Yeah, none of us have any trained background or any schooling or anything like that. It was kind of we've kind of just found inspiration other places, outside of the industry. And that's one of the things that I always tell people in the hunting industry, don't look inside the hunting industry for your inspiration, look outside, because this industry is such a copycat industry of people kind of following suit and trying to, do their thing, but kind of mold it after somebody else. And, there's the like you said, the industry tends to be a little bit lagging behind. And so we would always, try to find our inspiration outside the industry. In other film industries and industries that are telling stories and putting a lot of dollars behind these big productions. And obviously the hunting industry is not a big production, but our kind of goal was to have our show kind of have that big production feel, or some of the big production elements on a shoestring budget, basically. You know what I mean? But also be real. So we wanted it to be like a high quality production value, but we wanted it to be a little bit real and raw, and so you still knew it was it wasn't a big camera crew filming this. It was the same guys that you're seeing on TV Hunt were kind of involved behind the scenes as well. Yeah,
I want to give credit to Trevor Hawkins, a guy that I've known most of my life, that I grew up with, and he's not a hunter. And this was shortly after we started filming our hunts and getting in, starting Heartland Bowhunter and stuff. I just saw one of his skateboard films because he's a big skateboarder, and I saw it on Facebook actually. And he was just jacking around, filming his skateboarding and making little short films and stuff like that. And I hit him up about what we were doing and this and that, and we just basically collaborated. And that's actually where Mammoth Media came about. And having his eye incorporated with what we were doing and just his style of production is kind of what helped build Heartland Bowhunter, I think. And we actually don't even work together at all anymore. He's doing his own thing, making movies and commercials and stuff like that. But I think a lot of our early stuff is basically because of him.
Yeah, he had a completely different outlook on everything. Like, being not having any experience at all with the hunting industry whatsoever. He kind of had his own outlook, and what, like Shawn was talking about, he threw together some random skateboarding video, and I didn't skateboard or didn't do any of that, but I was like, it was one of those things that kind of drew you in, like, oh man, like this is cool. Like, it felt good, And me having no experience with skateboarding and watching that video and showing interest in it and be like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like, that's kind of what we wanted to do with the hunting side of things. Like, we wanted to be able to appeal to more than just the hardcore hunter. We wanted to be able to appeal to the hardcore hunter's wife who doesn't watch any hunting shows or refuses to watch hunting shows, but she'll sit down and watch our show. And we heard that time and time and time again as we were kind of growing the show into the third, fourth seasons. A lot of guys, oh man, it's the only hunting show that my wife will actually sit down and watch with me. Because it's not all about the kill. It's not about rock and roll music and shooting as many animals as you can. It's about the whole experience and some of the stuff that you touched on, Jess, like just the things that we get to see out there in nature that people don't realize without experiencing it firsthand. So.
Mm-hmm. I would have people walk in the house all the time when it was on and be like, they would just sit and kind of just watch. And again, people who didn't hunt or had never watched anything on an outdoor television network, and same thing. It would suck you in because you pulled all of the experiences together so wonderfully. And just,
I think, bringing up the skateboarding world, excuse me, was really important because, way back when, like, snow skiing and skateboarding videos, those were like the guys that were really rolling with outdoor adventure. The Warren Miller films were done in a cinematic, in a cinematic style. And these guys that were skateboarding, I mean, they were really the same people, particularly when snowboarding, really started picking up as well. And they kind of revolutionized the whole, I don't want to say YouTube world and pigeonhole them into that, but they were making, VHS videos that sort of changed the look of adventure video production.
Yeah, and companies like Red Bull are pouring like millions of dollars into these productions, and here we are trying to make a hunting film on a tenth of that budget or a hundredth of that budget.
Exactly, redneck Hollywood, right?
That's right. But what really, like you touched on it a little bit, the DSLR phase, like, when we first got started, we were, using all, tape cameras and video cameras, and we just, our second season got started using the DSLR, and that, like, it changed the game because, like you said, when it comes to, like, the tools and stuff, we had a big dolly for the camera, the big video camera and tripod and everything. We had a big jib, a huge jib that held the camera, which had to have a bunch of weight on the back because it's a heavy camera. When you come out with the 3-pound camera, all the tools get smaller. They get more portable. They get more affordable. All that changed, and so it just made things way easier on us for doing what we wanted to do. But it also made things super much more competitive in our space too, because then anybody could afford to invest in the equipment to have their own TV show or come out with their own show. So what went from having to have a $10,000 camera, you can pick up a $1,000 camera, and it's gotten even greater and greater as we've gone on. Technology's gotten better and better, and now almost anybody can afford. I mean, there's guys out there that are making films with their iPhones now. So, and
exactly,
the cameras help. Having the nice cameras help, and in certain scenarios they make a big difference. But when it comes down to it, it's really more about how it's used and telling the story and how it's put together. Really,
yeah, not what you film with; it's how you film it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Back to the DSLR thing, I remember Trevor was kind of the first one that introduced us to it. He brought that D90 around, and that Nikon D90, and you had to, like, point up in the air to set the exposure or whatever to and then bring it down to where we were filming. Yeah, to bracket it, and it was
manually exposed.
Everybody was always asking us too, like, what kind of cameras are you using? Are you using like Hollywood production cameras? And we're like, no, it's just this little DSLR.
I think it was the soft, the difference between camcorders and manual DSLRs that shot video was really the soft depth of field that you could achieve with fast apertures, right? I mean, you crank it, to f2.8 and soften everything up in the background, rack focus on your subject matter, and all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, this looks like Hollywood. And I think that's what really sets you guys apart. That was the very first thing that I noticed being a film, a cameraman in the industry. When you guys came along, I mean, that was the first thing that caught my eye, and I reacted just like everyone else. I'm like, okay, how did they do that?
It was pretty funny. It was comical back then, just because everybody and people didn't even believe us. I feel like when we tell them what it was, they're like, "No way, you're using that thing," and blah blah blah.
Who? That's a good direction to go. Who was your first big supporter? Like, who believed? It takes someone to believe in what you're doing to help financially support this. To get into, I mean, we all know airtime is ridiculously expensive in the outdoor networking, and I mean, who supported you first?
We had a couple different partners, investment partners financially, and one of them actually is Shawn's dad. And then Shawn's dad's best friend, Brad, is another one of them. And they actually are, I think, were really pivotal for us, getting involved. Shawn and I were in college, and they kind of saw us, getting really excited about this. And actually, Shawn's dad, before even the business side of things, I think kind of like personally invested in us with when it comes to the cameras and stuff. He actually bought our first, Canon
GH10 or something.
No, GL2.
GL2.
Oh, the GL2. Oh, the angled one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. That
was like the GL1, I think, or something.
I remember the GH2. It had a fat camera and a round dial on the side on the side of it to control your settings. Is that right?
Yeah, that was the GL1. Yeah, but
right.
He actually bought that first nice camera for us before we could figure out what tree arms we wanted to use and all that stuff. So yeah, he kind of invested in us then. But then, when it came to the business side of things, Rex and Brad both are kind of small business owners and entrepreneurs themselves, and so they kind of, wanted to help us kind of achieve our goals and dreams. And that was kind of what Shawn and I both went to college for, business management and entrepreneurship. We kind of knew we wanted to, own our own business and run our own business. We didn't know that it was going to be in the outdoor industry producing a TV show at the time, but that's what it kind of all evolved to. So, they were big supporters of us in the beginning. And then, when it came to the, paying bills, eventually, we gotta bring on sponsors. And that's kind of the tough thing. And a lot of people don't understand about the hunting industry is, it's a time buy model. So we buy the airtime from the network, and then we sell the sponsorships to pay for the airtime and to pay for the trips and to pay for all the other expenses. And so, that's one of the most difficult things in the whole business side of things is signing on sponsors and getting sponsors, especially as an early, new concept, new faces to the industry. You don't get a lot of companies that are going to jump on board and start paying financially right away. So it's one of those deals where, we had to prove ourselves kind of. And a lot of companies say, oh, yeah, we don't do any financial sponsorship first year. We'll just do product. You show us what you can do. And it's tough because that's basically what you have to do because it's such a competitive industry that there's a lot more people that want to do it than there is dollars to spend. So, we're fortunate enough we had to take a different approach. We had to go to these companies and be like, listen, we're not going to be cramming products down people's throats. Like, people don't appreciate that. We're going to use the products, we're going to feature them, and we're going to show them being used successfully, but we're not going to call them out. We're not going to have a gear segment. We're not going to have, the stuff that you're used to paying for and buying. We're not going to have. And so really that even limited us even more to a certain, group of companies that were willing to listen to something new and willing to, do something different. So we were fortunate enough to, get a few early on that understood it and believed in us, and it worked good for them. And, didn't take long for people to start following suit and see that that's what people really wanted to see was not name calling and product shoving. They wanted to see, they didn't care about that. They wanted to see the story behind the deer, and they wanted to see the hunt, and they wanted to see everything else.
So was there ever a company that turned you down early on that now you're like, you don't have to name them, we don't have to go there, but like you look back and go, huh, whatever, dude?
Oh, I'm trying to think. I mean, yeah, there was plenty that turned us down. I'll tell you that. And I don't, I can't say that I blame them at the time. A lot of times it's difficult to, invest in something new and different, and when what you're doing is already working. So, I definitely can't blame them. But we've had some that have, stuck with us almost since the beginning. I mean, Bowtech, I would say, is our probably longest standing sponsor. They've been with us since the very, very, very beginning.
I think Trophy Ridge also and Reconics, both of those have been around as well, just as long. So all three of those, they've been here since the get-go.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So those companies, they've grown with us too. And it's not like we just, have the same sponsorship deal this whole time. I mean, we've made changes, we moved networks, we've grown our brand, we've grown our distribution, and so they've grown with us as we've done that too, which has been awesome. So
in a partnership like this, I'm sorry, Jess, I'm like asking all the questions. I'm so sorry. You're next. So, there's always a good guy and a bad guy in a partnership in the business. Who's the good guy and who's the bad guy? Who does all the dirty work? Is that a fair question?
No, I don't think we really have a good guy or bad guy necessarily. We lean on Rex and Brad if we got to have the bad news.
There you go. Go punt on third down if you have to.
Shawn and I got to be the face of it, so we got to be cordial and upfront and nice. But no, we fortunately, man, we get along with anybody and everybody, and we've had some great partners, and over the years it's an awesome industry. I'm a people person. I love meeting people, talking to people, and especially other people that are passionate about what we do. And so, to me, I'll never forget that first ATA show. When I went to ATA for the first time, it was just so eye-opening, and it was so cool just to be in a room filled with so many people that were passionate about the same thing, but also, see all these products and the, stuff you've been using all your life, and see where they come from and meet the people behind them. And that was just incredible for me. I remember that first year at ATA. It was just such an eye-opening experience.
I remember the first time I met you guys was years ago at one of the Pennsylvania shows, and I was just so surprised. Like, I came up to you guys and was like, hey, fan of the show, yada, yada, yada. And you guys talked to me for a good 10 minutes. You didn't act like you were too busy. It was just like, man, these guys are just like they act on TV.
I don't remember that. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, bye, Shawn and Mike. Thanks for coming.
No. I'm staying here. I'm staying with you guys.
No, I remember that. And that's the thing is, like, this industry isn't. We're all the same people. The people that are passionate about hunting, that are, we're fortunate enough to have a passion for, videography, and so we get more exposure than some other people. But that doesn't change who we are. At heart, we're all kind of the same people that are passionate about hunting and the outdoors.
Do you get a lot of people, a lot of brands that want to be involved with your show, but they don't match what you're going for, or match your brand? Like, does that happen a lot to you? And how do you deal by turning them down without offending them?
It's really only happened. Well, it's happened with a couple, but those have kind of diminished on their own. But there was one that we were happy to partner with, and we believed in them in the beginning, but their product just didn't work for what we were doing, and we couldn't make it work. And so, I mean, as long as you're upfront, transparent with that, we found that they understood, and we just parted ways on a good note. And I assume if that door ever opens and their product changes to where we feel like we could use it, we potentially work together again for sure. But there was no bad blood. That's kind of the last thing you want to do is burn a bridge.
Sure.
It's a small industry, so. It's happened a couple times, but for the most part, a lot of companies that come to us, they get how we work and how we advertise on our show, our subliminal advertisement, and so they know what to expect.
Yeah, we're in a little bit of it's a difficult position, because obviously it takes money to fund the show and to fund everything, and so we have to have sponsors. But at the same time, we really pride ourselves in loyalty and long-term relationships with partners, and we pride ourselves in using products that we believe in. Like I said, we're not going to just take a check from a sponsor to use their product when we don't actually believe in it and don't actually use it, because that our credibility to our viewers is more important to us than that. So that's the other thing in this industry that there's a lot of sponsor turnover with some of the big name shows and stuff, and part of it's the nature of the beast. I mean, companies' budgets change, people's needs change, stuff moves around. But we try to avoid any turnover at all. A lot of these companies, their business arrangements and then sponsorship arrangements, but really it's partnerships and it's friendships that have been created, and so it's much more to it than just, oh, hey, like you use our gear and we'll pay to use our gear. It's more or less, it's a win-win relationship, and we try to constantly adjust our partnerships and adjust the relationship to make sure everybody's happy and everybody's winning, because in the long term, we're all looking down the road long term, and short-term partnerships don't do anybody any favors.
It's all about relationships. It's hard to get that across to a lot of young guys that are coming into the industry, wanting to do this or wanting to be, they're wanting to be Insta stars immediately, and they don't understand that while you can go on and promote yourself on social media and all those things, the relationships behind and the sponsorship relationships are important, and it takes time to build that trust and the just legitimacy so that people stick around and it's not a one and done deal.
Yeah.
And it's not, the chemistry is not always there. Like you said.
And like Shawn said, going back to like the burning bridges and stuff, I mean, this industry is tiny and it's a super small industry. And so like, if things aren't ever working out, or, we have some partnership that doesn't work out, like it's kind of like one of those deals we try to say, okay, like, we understand it doesn't work out. Like maybe things will change in the future. Always keep that door open, because you never know when things might change, and you might be working with a company that maybe one year they couldn't, they cut their budget and they couldn't afford to do anything that year, and then the next year they gear back up or whatever. So it's definitely a small industry, and it's tight knit.
So you guys have a pretty tight-knit crew as well. On the show, it's not just you guys obviously filming and like Skylar and Nate. You guys have a couple other camera guys as well. How did you go about finding the right crew to all work together? Because you guys travel a lot. You're close-knit. You're in close quarters all the time. How difficult was it for you guys to settle on a successful camera crew?
And it wasn't difficult in the beginning, but to add anyone from here on out has been extremely difficult, because we have such a tight-knit group, and it's like, everybody wants in because they might see your success and want to be a part of that. And obviously we understand that. And our group's just so tight that I don't know, you don't want to, it's hard to let someone else in, but like we've known Skylar from pretty much the beginning. Same with Clayton from the beginning. Nate, we knew him through his sister from high school. Trying to think, Trent, he came on board about midway through, and he was an excellent addition. Clay's been a great asset to it, man. He's growing up now, and he's going to college, but he was really cool to incorporate just at a young age, because nobody really had someone with so much passion and so much emotion involved.
Yeah, he was always kind of like explosive whenever you saw him, just like full of energy.
So it's been great, and we haven't added anyone, I don't think, since Trent. So
how long ago was that? When did Trent come into the scene?
Trent came on, I think, like 5 years ago?
Wow. So you guys have...
you guys are on, is it 10 seasons?
11. We're about to release 11.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
We're like the season vets now.
Wow. That's unbelievable. It seems like just yesterday this got going, but at the same time, you guys are... you guys have done such a great job. You're a big part of the entire industry now. So kudos to y'all. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's we do have a good group of guys, and that's what's been awesome for us, because a lot of guys try to have their own TV show or a husband and wife TV show or whatever, where it's just the focus is like 2 people, and man, you guys know how demanding it is. I mean, we have to produce. We produce 13 originals for TV. We produce 20 digital originals. I mean, we're producing a ton of content. There's no way that any 1 or 2 people can do what we do. So We've been fortunate enough to, we've had a great group of guys that since the beginning have, been passionate about the same stuff that we are. And that's the key is you got to find somebody that's in it for the right reasons and that isn't just, isn't looking to make money, isn't looking to make a name for themselves. They're really passionate about the filming side of things. And that was kind of our kind of rule getting started, or our, the backbone behind what we do is that we all film in teams. So, up until recently, Shawn and I were filming each other exclusively, nonstop. And Skylar and Clayton were a team, and Larry and Ty filmed together, and so we had all these different teams of guys that were basically trade off hunting and filming, and everybody was just as passionate about the film side of things as they were the hunting side of things. So that was key. We definitely over the years have had people that were involved that were super passionate about it, and then it kind of just tailed off, and the honeymoon phase, as we like to call it, kind of wears off. It's exciting to be involved in something special and something new, and once that wears off, it's like kind of becomes work, and it's like, oh crap, like is this really what I want to be doing? Is this really as much fun as I thought it was at one point? So we've weeded through people, as guys over the years, and the guys that are still involved are guys that have been around from the beginning, and they're dedicated. So
awesome.
Yeah, I think I'm sorry, Shawn, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say someone that I didn't quite mention was Ty. Ty's been around from the beginning as well, and he was kind of a mentor to us when we started getting into filming our hunts. Like, I remember way back in the day, this was probably 12, 13, 14 years ago, whatever it was, he was filming his hunts, and he was sending them to, I think you, Mike, when we were in college, freshman in college, through email or something, and like killing these big deer on video, and that was kind of one of the things that I think our passion to film our hunts.
I think the challenge, the important thing that I'm taking away from this conversation is that, it's so challenging to keep a team together because of the various things that you already discussed, like people wanting to go out and do it on their own, or they lose the passion, or it's too much work, or it just becomes stale, or whatever it is. So for your most recent crew member to have been there for 5 years since you've had to hire someone else is really impressive. That tells me that you guys are, you're sustaining your relationships. Everyone's happy. And in a teamwork scenario, like filming outdoor television or outdoor content is, I've always said this. It's just like football or the Army, military wars, whatever it is. If you do it for each other, then you're going to succeed because you're not just doing it for yourself. And if you do it for the team and you play as a team member, then it all works itself out and everyone gets their piece of the pie if they'll just be patient and allow this thing to develop. Is that not true?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
How is the dynamic for your scheduling and the time that you guys are out in the field changed over the last few years? Because, Mike, you've had 2 kids now. Shawn, you just got married. Skylar's got a family with kids. Like, I think all of your personal lives have changed dramatically through the duration of your show. So how has things changed for scheduling and filming and things like that, and being able to balance everything with everyone?
It's definitely got a lot more tricky. We don't hang out as much as we used to. I'll say that the social hanging out time takes a hit first before the hunting stuff. So no. So since probably for the past 3-4 years, Shawn and I have been basically working with Brandon, who films me primarily most of the time, and then Shawn hunts with Joel primarily. And so that kind of helped us kind of split up and diversify and take advantage of our time a little more efficiently over the past few years. And a lot of that, and that was before I had kids or any of that, but it was more or less the demand of the industry and the demand of the content and all the stuff that we had to produce. And so that's been a tremendous help having those guys on board from a filming aspect. But definitely the family aspect takes it makes things a little bit different. And, fortunately, our show and our format and everything allows for our lifestyle to be kind of part of it. And so, we try to get them involved as much as possible. My wife hunts, Skylar's wife hunts. We take the kids with us when we can. And so, really, that's what Heartland Bowhunter is about us and our lifestyle and the bow hunting lifestyle. So,
Some of my favorite episodes are watching like the guys' girlfriends get their first deer, and I think last year, Shawn, you had your fiance out for the first time, and I was like, you're rooting for them. It was fun to watch.
I had my wife out. So we got married almost a year ago, and last fall came, and so I'm gone early on, not around. Then Missouri opens, and I come home, and I hunt, and have this terribly rough season. I'm out there busting my ass like all year long, and I finally got one. And so, like, the season's winding down, and I'm like, man, I haven't even taken her out yet. Like, the whole plan was to take her in the beginning, and I never did. And
which is like the number one rule, like take a first-time hunter in the early fall.
Yeah, and you've got this guilt trip going on in your head about it the whole time, right?
I took her out the very last day of season, and I think it was like 12 degrees. And that was her first time deer hunting ever. We made it. I mean, we got in a redneck and we had a heater and everything, but I mean, she got to see a lot of deer, and it was pretty fun. So other than that, I haven't taken her out but once. So this coming year, hopefully, I can take her a little bit more and get her into it more. She eats deer like crazy, so. Can't beat that.
Like time to contribute.
Yeah, so I shot the doe on that freezing cold night, and she helped him drag her out. So that's good.
I'm dragging this doe that I shot, and she's like, "You want me to help you?" I was like, "Sure, absolutely." She did.
Do you guys have a favorite episode that individually that you've filmed and you know that resonates in your minds?
Yeah, so every year I try to take my dad out as much as I can and get him a buck as well, because, I mean, without him, I wouldn't be where I'm at all today. And he bought this big farm in northern Missouri. Mike and I hunt that. We've killed some really good deer off there, and my dad's killed some bucks off of it as well. And not this past fall, but the fall before, I took him out and or filming. I was filming him. I didn't take him out. And on his farm, and this year we had a ton of history with over the years that we'd let go until he was 5.5, which is how old he was in this photo here. And we have an awesome story with that deer. We called him M10. Reason being, we'd always get pictures of him on this mineral lick, and so we called him the Mineral 10, and so M10 for short just kind of stuck. And
he's a stud.
Yeah, we had a great story. It aired last season. I think it was our very last, 13th episode. It'll be coming up here on the Outdoor Channel, I think, in 3 weeks. And that's definitely the most memorable hunt that I've ever had. And just sharing it with him and being able to capture most of it, that was probably the coolest hunt I've ever been a part of and able to document.
Yeah, I mean, for us, the ones that are like the stand out the most and the ones that we remember the most are the ones that we have all this history with. One of our first ever episodes like that had this years and years of history was a buck that Shawn killed in season 4 called Junior, and it was a buck that him and I had just tons and tons of encounters with, and I think that was our first ever like really big storyline, overarching storyline about a deer. And so that's probably one of my all-time favorite episodes. I mean, we had history with him as a 2-year-old. Passed him up. He blew up from a tiny 2-year-old. I don't even know what he would score, to like 160-inch, 165-inch 3-year-old. And we passed him up several times that year, which would have been at the time one of our top biggest deer, both of us either way. And we passed him up several times that year to let him go one more year. And Shawn ended up killing him the following year on opening day of season during this like crazy lightning thunderstorm. Like it was just really one of those deals where it was like meant to be.
Wow!
It was like a downpour, and like we were like, oh, we're never going to be able to get out. He was on this crazy early season pattern, just super regular. And
epic.
We didn't think we were going to be able to get out, and we waited for the storm to blow through. We got out, got in the tree, and right when we did, it just started pouring again. And but we didn't take us like 10 minutes, and out he pops, and he just feeds his way. It took him like an hour to get to us, but feeds his way through this old overgrown CRP field. And anyway, it was just like one of those deals that's like meant to be. Just walked right by us, right in front of us, and it was pretty cool. So that was like one of our first ever like big storyline deals. But more recent for me, would probably be the story of Chubbs, the buck I killed this past 2 years ago in Missouri. He's probably one of the oldest deer I've ever killed, whitetails. He was 7.5 when I killed him, but I had history with him from forever, forever long history. And actually, I kept a photo of him when he was 1.5 because he only had one eye that glowed in front of the trail camera. And so usually you can tell a deer from 1.5 to 2.5, obviously. I mean, at 1.5, he was a little forkhorn. And, I would have never kept that photo, but it was like late season. I was going through photos and I saw that. I was like, oh, that's kind of unique. I'll hang on to it. Well, the next year, same thing, followed him. So I have pictures of him from 1.5 all the way up to 7.5. And
wow,
so many close calls,
rare.
So many encounters. I didn't capitalize on a few opportunities I was given earlier in his life, but when he was 7, I was able to get him this past fall in Missouri. So that was a pretty special one for me. Even though as a 7.5-year-old, he still wasn't that big of a buck. Like he was like, I mean, his probably biggest year was probably 5, maybe 6, But he was at 7. He was, I don't know, he's probably mid-30s. Like just not a giant by any means, but I had so much history with him. He means more to me than any of the bigger deer I've taken.
No doubt. I think, going back in time too, one of the things that was so appealing about the Heartland Bowhunter when it first started was, I mean, let's face it, there was a time when a 130-inch buck was worthy, if you will. And then
I know what you're talking about. That's way worthy for me.
and then it turned into, the new 130, or the new 130 is the 150. And that really got out of hand. I mean, it was almost like, are you kidding me? You go into a deer camp and people are saying, I'm not going to shoot anything under 140. So you're like, so you're not going to shoot an 8-pointer, a 130-inch 8-pointer that's 7.5 years old? You're out of your mind. And one of the appealing things that you guys brought to the table was, early on, you weren't just killing giants. I mean, you were killing average deer. And again, it was that, relationship between you and the viewer and your average hunter that was so appealing to everyone. And it was like, finally, we're getting back to our roots and all that. So, I guess maybe that 7.5-year-old buck that you killed comes full circle because you had so much history with him, and then when you killed him, you're so proud of him, but it wasn't like he was a 180-inch booner,
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, this deer behind me is my biggest deer I've ever killed, and I shot him opening day in North Dakota, my first time ever in North Dakota hunting, and like my biggest deer ever. But I guarantee you, Chubbs means a lot more to me than that deer does.
Right.
For me, it all goes. It's all about everything that goes into the hunt prior.
The experience.
Nothing besides a 12-hour drive, and Nate put me on a water hole. So,
kind of say or go off what you were saying, Jake, is like it has kind of gone full circle for me as well. Like, as we've grown, our standards have risen, and you get, you want to kill a bigger deer every year. You want to top the last one. Well, like the past 2 years, I've struggled extremely hard trying to kill a certain age deer, certain class deer, size of deer, whatever it may be. And it's like, man, I've exhausted myself trying to do this. Why am I doing this? This isn't how it's supposed to be. And I've really fought it over long and hard, I feel like. And it's kind of humbled me that, like, man, it's time to go back to where it all started and actually just enjoy it more. Like, you get caught up trying to one up yourself or someone else. And that's really not what it's about. And I've come to actually realize that finally. And it's been good to kind of come back to what it's all about, and looking forward to the coming seasons, because it's not, the industry's really, I think, gone towards that. Like, oh man, how old was he? What was he? Was he 4? Was he 5? Was he 6? Oh man,
You're asking the wrong questions.
Yeah, like that's not why any of us started this. None of us
like, what was that like? What was your experience like? How was it? I mean, was it epic, or did you just walk in there and he just walked up and you shot? I mean, it's about the experience. And it's funny we're talking about this because I just started shooting. I had a Boyer in Tennessee, build a recurve for me. It's a recurve longbow hybrid, and I'm so into it because of the same reasons. Like, I'm just tired of the old stale vanilla, got to kill a big deer, it's not worthy. Man, I'm just ready to go hunting again. That's what it's about.
Yeah. Like, I love trail camera technology. It's incredible. Like, none of us would be killing these deer without them. But it's pretty awesome to go out west on the public land and you're walking into a forest where you have no idea what's in there, what's going to step out. And, you know, the first Pope and Young, whatever it may be, 120, 130, 140-inch deer pops out, you're more than happy to shoot it because you have no idea what's walking through those woods. So,
right.
And like I was going to say about like the whole, you know, age structure thing and the management thing is it's like we've gotten more into the management side of things, and like it's really, really enjoyable to, you know, put in the work to improve the land and to grow our age structure. And so, like, you know, like Shawn talked about, you know, a couple of years ago, we were targeting bucks that were 4.5 and older. And now, you know, on our main farm, we've switched to just really targeting 5.5 year deer and older. And that's just kind of a personal choice that we make. And, you know, it's one of those deals where it's like, you know, we put in so much time and effort that we want our age structure to get to where it is, to where we maximize our opportunity and we have, you know, greater opportunity. But in a state like Missouri with rifle season, you know, in the middle of the rut, when, you know, we're growing these deer and we're spending all this time and these deer are running off and then getting shot by a neighbor, and you know, it just takes kind of the wind out of your sail. It's like, dang, man, like, you know, should we really be letting them go to a 5.5 or whatever? And like I said, it's a personal choice. You know, we get to hunt a lot of places, a lot of different areas, and so, you know, we hunt some pretty good properties, and so we choose to make that on our home property in Missouri. We choose to kind of make that discretion, but we still have other farms that we, you know, either have commission on or lease, or smaller tracts that we own that, you know, we might have different management strategies or standards. So, you know, like Shawn said, it's really about, you know, it's really a personal thing. What personally you want to do, and what makes you excited, and what gets you amped up, and it's not about the numbers and the age necessarily, but it's definitely, for me, it's definitely more about age than it is about the score. You know, we're in Missouri. Like, we don't get booners every year. You know, we might have half a dozen 5-year-olds, and maybe one of them might be a booner. I mean, it's not like Southern Iowa, so we don't get too hung up on the numbers side of things. But it is fun to manage for age structure for sure.
Yeah, I agree with Mike. I was just saying basically that, and I'm gonna still continue to go on age structure, but sometimes we take it a little too serious, and I've experienced it myself, just getting a little too caught up in it. So.
Well, yeah, I killed the buck in Missouri this year because Shawn didn't want. Shawn was holding out, so we had a buck.
Yeah, we'll get into that when we show the episode. That's a whole other.
That's what it is.
Well, speaking of you know, being pumped about things, your brown bear hunt from last year. I mean, I've done some Kodiak brown bear. I filmed some Kodiak brown bear hunts, so I know how epic and adrenaline building that can be. What was that like, man? Those are some awesome pictures, and man, I mean, that's some serious stuff right there.
It's Alaska. It's Kodiak. It's like, you see the pictures, the video, everything makes it look just super great and awesome, but that's not necessarily the case all the time. It's pretty brutal up there, but it was a crazy hunt. It was a really cool experience for me. I'd never been on one before, never done one before. I just kind of had that aspiration, like that was kind of one of my bucket list hunts I always wanted to do. And
you're with Cole Kramer, is that right?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny how small of an industry and small of a world this is. But so Shawn and I went to high school together with Trevor, who produced our show early on. We all went to high school together, and Cole Kramer went to our high school as well. So
no kidding,
all went to high school together. Yeah, Cole was like my older brother growing up, and so we played football together and known each other forever. And Cole, his aunt and uncle lived up on Kodiak, and he would go visit them in the summertime every year during school. And he just fell in love with it, and straight out of high school moved up there and became a guide and started guiding. And that was right when we started HB and started hunting and filming. And he was kind of like, you know, we would keep in touch, and he was like, man, you guys got to come up and do a hunt sometime. And, you know, we were both busy early on just getting our career started, and hadn't really made time to do it. And finally, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, Shawn and I went up there and did a blacktail hunt with him in December. And after he kind of had his clients gone through, so it was kind of a scouting mission for him. We were going to go hunt a new area, and we were all up for it, you know. And it turned out to be a pretty big flop of a hunt, but it was a good time to hang out with him and to be out there.
Never go in December.
What?
Oh, it's brutal.
Never go to Alaska in December. That's December. That's the only time I've ever been to Alaska, and I'll never go back
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
brutal.
it was brutal. It was like 6 hours of daylight, and like it was like 18 degrees high and for highs, and blowing freezing rain off or freezing ocean off the side of the ocean, and it was bad.
And people don't realize a mile on Kodiak is really like 3 miles, like as the crow flies, I mean, it's just like boom. And it's like walking through a chisel plowed cornfield, man. It's like, you're breaking your ankles at every step. People don't realize how tough Kodiak is.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, the elevation doesn't get you. It's the hummocks and the little chops. But
What happened when your bear? What happened? Like, tell me. Let's talk about the epic drama that happened when you killed your bear.
oh, I'll tell you how epically boring it was up until the moment right before I killed it.
At least you were hunting them over gummy bears, though, right?
That's right. So that's the thing. I mean, I've never killed a bear, period, and I haven't had much of a desire to kill a black bear just because, I mean, I would do it, hunt them over bait, because a lot of areas that's the only way you can kill them, and I get that. But I wanted to do the spot and stalk type thing, but I had no idea, and even Cole had told me how slow of a hunt it was, but literally, I mean, I didn't kill my bear till day 12 of a 14-day hunt, and for 12 days, or 11 days prior straight, and we sat up on this glassing knob basically for, days were 16-hour days or something. We just sat there on this glassing knob in the same spot forever, just glassing, waiting for the right bear to walk over the hill. And what I guess a lot of people don't realize is the brown bear, their sense of smell is incredible. It's like 7 times stronger than a bloodhound, and that you don't want to hike around and spread a bunch of scent. And so it's kind of one of those deals. You got to be patient and just wait for the right opportunity. And we had an encounter with a really big bear on the very first day, and so I was like, I came to full draw, almost got a shot off at him. I was like, all right. I was like, we got this. We're gonna get this. And then 10 days go by, and we hadn't seen anything besides sows, cubs, and some immature boars. And I was like, starting to wonder. I was like, oh man, like your confidence starts to wear off, and then like the days just start flying by, which is weird because they're so long and you're just sitting there doing nothing. But the days really start flying by when in the back of your head you're like, okay, day 14's coming up. You only get 14 days on the tag. And so on day 12 we finally got lucky and saw a good boar to go after. And it was a spring hunt, so we called them in with like a fawn distress call, like a predator call. And it went from the most boring hunt to the most intense hunt of my life in about 10 seconds when he stood up and started coming in and came right directly to us. I shot him at 12 yards. So it was
12 days of suffering meet 5 minutes of glory at this apex of time, and it's unbelievable experience.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
People don't realize too that on Kodiak, and I feel like I should say this because there's bear hunting can be controversial, especially brown bears on a national or on a wild wildlife national wildlife refuge like Kodiak is. But since they started hunting, they started applying hunting to Kodiak, the brown bear populations have actually doubled. I did a bear hunt years ago with a guy there, and we talked to the game or the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service about it and all that. And it's actually good because people don't realize those big mature boars, black bears are the same way. They actually go out and kill cubs to stimulate reproduction with the sows, and it's this vicious cycle, and they're constantly killing other bears. When you take those old mature boars out, it's good for the it's good for the population. And it's impressive what, even going back to whitetail QDMA, it's the same sort of standards that they set on Kodiak, and it's an island, so it's isolated, even though it's a big island, and it's been very successful for the same reasons. So I feel like that's important to mention.
Yeah, that's why they have one of the best, populations of brown bear in the world, because they're strong, conservation efforts. And that's one of the things. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize. People grow up with the teddy bear, and they're like, oh, and they're beautiful creatures. I mean, they're beautiful. So they get a lot of controversy, but it's a total conservation play. And like you said, killing one of those big, old mature boars, it's going to go around and kill the cubs to make, because the sows, as long as the sows are nursing, they're not going into heat, and they'll nurse for 2 to 3 years. And so if they go and kill those cubs, bam, she's right back into heat, and they're going to be able to breed again. So, and not to mention,
it's all about sex.
Yeah, that's right. And not to mention they'll kill other immature boars too. They get in the way. So they're nasty. They're aggressive and nasty animals, but it's definitely a big conservation play for sure.
So we're winding down here. Is there any what is your focus on moving forward with Heartland Bowhunter? Where do you foresee it in the next few years, the next few seasons? Any hunts going to be on the shows that you can tell us about that haven't been yet? Anything new?
So that bear hunt's going to be the first episode of the new season. So pretty excited about that. We're actually going to be premiering that episode along with an episode of another show that we produce called Heartland Waterfowl. Mm-hmm. We do a big Heartland premiere event here in Kansas City area, and it's actually going to be in Independence this year. So it's a fun event. We started doing it, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, and we moved our waterfowl show to Q3 2 years ago. So we made it a joint premiere and made it a big free event, and so it's a fun event. We get a lot of our sponsors involved, and it's a pretty fun event. So that's going to be our premiere event. Will be coming up here June 23rd. So awesome. Right around the corner.
I got one more question for you too, and how are you guys transitioning? This is so important for television producers. How are you guys transitioning into the digital platforms, and what? Let's talk. I mean, if we can briefly talk about some of those problems and how you're going to deal with that in the future, Shawn and Mike.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was sitting thinking about that when you asked that question, Jess. Like, it's evolving every day. Things are changing between TV and digital, and shows coming off of television and going to digital stuff like Netflix or Amazon Prime, whatever it may be, YouTube. I don't know the answer to that right now, and I'm sure I don't think anybody really knows the answer to that. It's just day by day, just trying to put ourselves out there as wide as we can, just as many places as we can, trying to get as many eyeballs on our content as we possibly can, between social, digital, TV, all of it. We're pretty much everywhere. So
it's a much bigger song and dance now. You got to do both to please your sponsors, and not only that, to self-promote what you're doing on television that comes on the digital platforms as well.
Yeah. People are changing the way they consume content, big time. And it's kind of a generational type thing. So it's always interesting for me because, we work with a handful of different companies that have different outlooks on it. They have different target markets and different marketing strategies. And so we have to kind of have a really diverse offering in order to cater towards all of that. Ram Trucks is one of our partners that I guarantee you they care a lot more about the TV side of things than they do about the digital side of things. The millennials aren't going out and buying a brand new $55,000, $60,000 truck. It's the 45 to 55 guys that are watching TV still that have the expendable income that are spending that type of money. And those are the guys buying brand new bows every year. And those are the guys, really spending the money. But the future is in the generation on social media and the digital side of things. And so, yeah, we've nobody knows the answer, but we've definitely seen the transition coming for a long time. And we're going into our, for 5 years, we just released our 5th season of Full Strut, which is our digital turkey series that we've been doing. So we've been doing the digital miniseries for 5 straight years on that side of things. Wow. Too. So, it gets back to just having a diverse offering, and at the end, for our brand and for our partners, we want to reach as many eyeballs as possible. So that's what we're going to continue to do.
Yeah, we're content creators now. We're not just TV producers or just some kids that just bumped into having a TV show and found their niche. Like, it's crazy between social media, YouTube, TV, running a production company, and we've got stuff going on all over the place. And
no, we don't. We just hunt for a living, man.
What's that? Oh yeah. That's what makes me laugh. Is they're like, man, what do you do in your off season? Like, you just hang out.
No such thing.
Yeah, what are you talking
about? Yeah,
off season. There's stuff going on all the time. So.
Just you got to ask them that last question. We got to hear that.
The last one we have.
Well, yeah. You want me to ask it?
Yeah, you go.
If Heartland Bowhunter ended today, what would be the thing that you took from your experience with the Heartland Bowhunter the most? What would you take from it the most?
Oh man, for me, I don't know. It'd have to be just all the relationships that we've created along the way. Is that like friends that we've become friends with that we would have never met, without HB and without the whole business side of things. We have a pretty tight knit group of friends, but our tight knit group of friends are people that are involved in the show and involved with us in our life, and it's been such a big part of our life that our best friends have been involved somehow with HB and that side of things. So, not to mention all the new people that we met because of it. So, for me, it'd be all the relationships and the friendships that are super important to us now.
I'd have to say the experiences and the places that we've gotten to go. I'm sure both of you can relate big time, being in this industry and getting to travel all these amazing places and things we've gotten to see. And sometimes you kind of take those things for granted. I feel like, I mean, especially if you've been there before, you go back to the same place and you're like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Look at that mountain range. Yep, cool. Well, let's just hike up there. And the first time you ever saw that, you're just like blown away that stuff exists. And being able to see that stuff and capture it and video it, photograph it, have just been true blessing, man. I can't.
When it's all over, you get to look back at all these things, like the experience you had with your dad, experiences you've had with your family, and the brown bear and all these things. You get to go back one day and look at all this stuff, and it's going to bring us all to our knees because it will be so humbling that we did all that stuff and we had these experiences, and it lasts forever. I mean, it almost makes me tear up.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about it yesterday. I was like, man, I have all these photographs. A lot of them I've actually forgotten about, but the beauty of it is these things right here. We're going to have these for these hard drives 20, 30, 40 years down the road that we can go back and look at all this stuff. And
for those that don't know what that was, that's a G-Raid, probably a 12 terabyte or larger hard drive with a lightning bolt channel feed on it, so that you can transfer digital information a lot faster than you normally would. That's what that was.
I got inspired by Lee on the last show, and I started cataloging like my favorite photos from seasons and things. I'm going to start making albums because I'm not plugging in my drive every time I want to look at the photos.
Yeah,
so
that's one of the unfortunate things with the digital era is like, you get all the stuff and it all sits on a hard drive, but if you don't do anything with it, whatever happens, you know what I mean? You got to actually create stuff.
Like I want my grandkids to see me on a mountain someday, and I don't know that my Lacy drive is still going to work. So
I bet it will. We've got 3.5-inch floppies with information on them that we got to figure out how to transfer that data to. But,
Jake, you probably have zip drives of photos somewhere.
Man, he pulled that G-Raid out, and it reminded me I got to get a new one.
Oh yeah, we got plenty of those.
Yeah.
Well, fellas, you guys, thank you so much. I mean, most importantly, thank you so much for what you guys have done for the industry. You changed the game. You brought a completely different look to it. You made it, and to me, you made it more valuable because it was better. It was a better thing to watch because all the old school guys had taught us everything we needed to know about how to bow hunt whitetails and hunt turkeys and all those things. And you brought a creative value to it that changed the game. And, for people like myself that have been in the industry for a long time, I've been filming forever. But when I saw your show, it made me want to change my act as well. Thank you so much for everything you guys have done for the industry. It's been awesome. Truly.
I don't know that we can take complete credit for that, but we appreciate it.
And thank you guys for having us on, especially following such an iconic photographer like you had on. Awesome. So great show last week, and I hope everybody enjoys this one like they did last week. That was awesome. So
where can we catch Heartland Bowhunter?
So the new season will be premiering in July on Outdoor Channel.
Same times?
Yep. And I don't know what they are.
I do.
Yep.
Monday at 1. These are all Eastern times. Monday at 1:30, Tuesday at 4:30 p.m., Thursday at 9:30 p.m., and Friday at 4:30 a.m. So those are going to be the show times. Four airings per week on the Outdoor Channel, the Heartland Bowhunter.
That Friday at 4:30 a.m. ones, that's for the diehards.
That'll be me because I'm up at that time.
There you go.
Well, thanks a lot, guys, for spending your morning with us and answering our questions and giving us a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look into your show and your lives. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Thanks,
right.
guys.
Bye, guys.
So that was cool.
Good show.
Now we know everything about the Heartland Bowhunters.
No, I like talking to them, and every time I see them at ACA or at a show, they're always super friendly and they're happy to spend some time with you. They're great people, and I think that their personalities really resonate through the work that they do.
I mean, they are, when we, having had this interview with them now under our belts, I mean, they are who they are. They are who you see on television.
Mm-hmm.
They're the people that we all love, and I'm grateful for what they've done for the industry, and they've opened up niches for people like us.
Yes. So something new to share with everybody. We have started archiving our shows on our own YouTube channel. So you can go and find the Outdoor Cameraman Experience on YouTube and subscribe. We're only going to keep our live show on Facebook now for about a day or two, and then it's going to transfer over to YouTube. So if you need to catch up on the episodes, you're going to want to watch them there.
Well, I guess that ends it. We've run 11 minutes over, just like every episode. These conversations are so interesting. It seems like that hour goes by so fast, but I guess it's time to sign off. And it's good to see you and talk to you again, Jess.
You too, Jake.
Until
See you
next
later.
time.
Bye.
Bye.